Ta-da! Oh
Hi! I'm
my
back!
gosh. Do you, Journeyer, recognize this face? It's Emily Arnold Fleming! Yay!
Hi, journeyers. I'm back. I'm back for On Off the Topic. And I'm stoked to be here. I've missed you so much.
Oh my gosh. For those of you who are like just seeing us for the first time, look, it's Charlotte. Charlotte, yes, Charlotte is so happy. Look at this.
Yeah, we got my Alice poster, my train station poster.
We
Yeah.
got all the stuff. And then we've got, she says, oh my God, is Emily back? Yes, it is Emily. If you're watching this for the very, very first time, Emily,
what a good time to come in.
You're so lucky. You have not witnessed the birth of Emily's first child, and you're just like right here at the end of that birth. The birth has occurred. Emily has taken hiatus and is back.
It is important to know for people who, if this is your first one, that we also did not broadcast the birth of my child on the On and Off page like that.
It's too bad. We should have.
All missed
thought about it.
I was there for that. You guys weren't. Just to be clear.
Just to be clear, don't go looking for like episodes where Emily is giving birth.
Didn't happen.
Oh my gosh, Emily, how are you?
I'm, I have an 11-week-old baby. He's 11 weeks today. And yeah, happy 11-week birthday. And we're doing it, we're learning how to parent. He's learning how to be a human, which is more difficult than you would think. It is. Did you know that it's really hard to poop in your first week or two?
I don't remember.
So we're all just kind of learning together. And it's hard, but also very cool to see this little guy just be amazed and learn more every day and master his own bodily functions and also like movements and like see things. And it's very cool.
We're all, as journeyers and journey guides, we're all cheering for you. We're gonna see how much you want to weave in, because this is the thing, journeyers, this month is all about exploration. Well, this year is all about exploration, and this month is about connection. And so this is what we've got with Luke Wallens. I started this very cool thing where I get to push a button and what we're talking about comes up. And this is what we're talking about today, in quotes, within the theme of exploration. How strong should our connections be? Will we feel weighed down by connecting too deeply? And yeah, when I was thinking about this, Emily, I was thinking about this idea that when we explore a thing, the act of exploring is like, oh, what's this thing? Oh, cool. Oh, what's this? Oh, okay. Oh, what's this thing? Wow, it's a cool doodad thingy. Great. And we're just exploring what it is, but then becoming connected to it, right? Like really just like this is the thing. It's the one, the only, my own, my precious. Like, should we be that connected in the I feel like we shouldn't be that connected, because we might start to feel like, oh, I can no longer explore if I just hang on to this thing. So
Right. Yeah. If you're connecting to something with like a metaphorical like iron bar, like you're like chained to a thing, then yeah,
mhm,
it totally hinders your ability to explore, right? Um as you're looking through life. So like uh we've talked a lot about like me coming back from my hiatus, right?
mhm,
In terms of my connection to on and off. And if I was like, nope, I have like an iron bar connecting me and my family right now, and I can't like stretch that, I can't bend that, I can't extend it at all, um, then it would limit my exploration to coming back on and off, going back to work, like getting back to kind of a lot of things that made me pre
mhm,
pre baby. Uh, and so, and for some people, maybe that's cool. Maybe you want to, have like uh, a shorter leash, connection leash.
mhm.
Um, but I think if that connection is too rigid, um, it really hinders us to be able to do more things. We need something a little more flexible.
Ooh, I like this. I like the idea. I like the two words, rigidity and flexibility.
Mhm.
The When we're talking about being on the improv stage, we're talking about the I think the rigidity, probably, or the shorter leash on things like how I move through the world. What is a story? We
Yeah.
can sort of take that as like, okay, what is a story? I know that a story has a beginning, middle, and end. But within that rigidity, I'm going to find flexibility in how to tell that story with my partners.
Yeah.
But if I think to myself, it can only go once upon a time, there was a girl
And
every
every
day,
day until one day, and then. Yeah.
and then it's
Uh-huh.
over. Yeah, if you stick to that, you may lose out on what is possible within the story. And I feel like improv helps us really practice that flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And really like get to, because if you how boring would that be if that was every scene that you did was like literally once upon a time here is this mushroom, and every day that mushroom absorbed logs until there were no logs. Like, so you want to be able to like, what makes it interesting both for you and for your audience, right, um is the little bit of like the lead from that, like the little bit of flexibility to like uh you can still follow that story structure, but maybe like get a little wiggly, maybe spend like a little more time on exploring like once upon a time and like explaining this mushroom or explaining the world
Mhm,
of every day, or kind of like maybe it's not just like one until every day until one day, maybe it's like a series of events or
mhm.
something uh
Yeah.
to make it more fun.
Right. Yeah. And we talk and we never stop talking. You talked about it maybe one time 2 years ago, and now Luke and I talk about it. I talk about it with everybody. We never stop talking about values, right?
Yeah.
We're always like, when Emily gets back, ooh, she's going to talk
We're
about
we're
values.
talking about values all day long, guys. Welcome back to the values show.
To the value show. And I'll tell you what, it helps us. It really helps to put things in perspective, because when we're talking about this, like, all right, how strong should my connection be? It depends on what you're valuing at the moment, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that little that at the moment is
Hmm.
important, right? Um, and you can still hold a bunch of things in your heart, right? Like you can hold a bunch of values in your heart, but maybe right now the one that is slightly more important is this thing, right? Maybe like right right now, something that's slightly more important to me is my independence and dissemination, and my family is just here. Uh,
Just you
enough
hear
for
that,
me
family? You're right there, right?
enough for me to say, family, you're gonna hang out downstairs for 30 minutes. I'm going upstairs to do a live stream. Love you, bye.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, because if it was always that, then obviously I would never see my family, and I would never. What would be the point of having a baby that I was just going to hand off to my husband and leave downstairs? But if I like, on the other hand, if it was always um, family all the time, uh, I wouldn't get to explore my other values, my other like dissemination and doing good in the world, and um, being independent and all of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this would always come first. So we need to be able to kind of play with what is on top.
Right. That what is on top feels like it fits in, or at least leads us into this. Will we feel weighed down by connecting too deeply? There's this fear, I think, with connection. When I think right now, the things that I'm thinking about are relationships. That's
Yeah.
what I'm feeling. That's what's coming up for me is when we are the type of person, if you are the type of person to be like, I am a free spirit and I am exploring all types of different relationships and how those relationships are, whatever different types of relationships. And that's all I want to do. I am free. Don't weigh me down. Don't You can't tie me down. And then maybe you find a relationship that you do want to connect with on a deeper level,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a fear that we're going to be weighed down, or that we're going to be completely changed, and this freedom that we had will be taken away from us, or is no longer part of our identity, and we can't explore that anymore. And I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that fear is so valid. And
Hmm.
it's absolutely, yeah, I think a thing we go through. I think any of us who have been in long committed relationships or have been married, right? Like we're like, "Oh, is this is what we're choosing for the rest of until we are done with it." For a very long time, divorce is hard, you know?
Hmm.
Um and so it's totally natural to have that like that little FOMO
Yep.
of what I'm missing out, or that fear of like the unknown in terms of how much of the stuff that I cared about before will I be able to access
Hmm.
now. I think it's
Hmm.
super, super normal, super valid. Um, but I I think recognizing that's the first step and that it's
Hmm.
normal. And then the second step is trying to think about how you can hold that connection, that relationship a little bit loose enough that you can still access the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yes.
Um,
Yes. I'm
you know,
thinking about being on stage.
mhm,
You said how you can hold that connection loose enough. I think one of the things that improvisers um, uh, are afraid to do is to move down or connect deeper into the relationship that they're having on stage. Whatever relationship that they're building, they're afraid to move into the relationship because the fun thing is whatever else out here, the joke, the dragon, the like, oh, we're in a fantastical environment. Let's explore this fantastical environment because it's ethereal, it's fun.
mhm.
But when we do connect into the relationship, like whatever relationship you've built, this other thing even becomes stronger,
Yeah.
actually. Ah,
Yeah.
uh-oh, I'm
Yeah.
getting a thing.
Yeah. Like, similar to life, right? Life becomes richer
Mm-hmm.
when you make those connections, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you um, have a deep relationship, whether it's familial or romantic or friendship, your experiences become more interesting and exciting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the my vacations and my trips have gotten a lot cooler once I started going on them with my husband, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, because we are experiencing something together and he can,
Yeah,
show me his perspective. Uh, and similar with on stage, right? When we dive into relationships, we can see different avenues of what's going on. And that can help open our eyes to more explanation or exploration.
absolutely. Yeah, we get to see why any of this other stuff matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
Why
does it
does it?
matter that there's a dragon and there's magic? If you were just like some like medieval dude chilling alone in your hovel, and there's like a dragon outside, and you're just like, whatever, I'm by myself in a hovel. Um, but if you had this deep relationship with someone who's outside and the dragon is coming, uh, that becomes more important. Add some stakes to like, let's get outside
Mhm.
and let's like save the person from the dragon.
I want to I want to address the fact that we are talking about relationships with other people, right? We're talking about external relationships. But that being said, we also, especially in improv on and off the stage, we talk about building deeper connections with self and others through improv, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes to having a connection with other people, but a, I feel almost just as rich and maybe a little bit more difficult is having a genuine connection to self. And how do we explore that? How do we explore that on stage? Because if you are on stage by yourself and it's a solo scene, right? Our exploration then becomes not what's my relationship to everything else first, but what's my relationship to self? Am I a shy person? Am I a not shy, whatever the opposite, outgoing or whatnot? And how do I move through the world and how do things affect me if I'm this type of person
Right.
or
Yeah.
character?
Yeah. And again, that makes a richer, deeper
Mhm.
scene and more interesting for you, more interesting for the audience, right? If you were
Right.
just like, I'm just a person,
Just hanging out,
just
just an
hanging out,
entity.
dude.
Just
Uh, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I think having, when we're talking about that deep connection, still having that flexibility, right?
Mhm.
Because if we go in and we're like, I I'm a shy person, which means I'm not going to talk to anyone. I'm just gonna mumble. And
Mhm.
what if something comes up in your scene where that just doesn't work anymore? It doesn't play anymore, right?
Oof.
uh, you
Oof.
you need to have that looser connection uh,
Mhm.
to that thing that you had decided or figured out so that you can kind of shift gears a little bit.
I want to just like button that because um right here the question is how strong should our connections be, and you're pushing back on that. You're saying yes, they should be sort of strong, but really they should be loose. I feel like maybe the word should be intentional, right? How
Yeah.
intentional should our relationships be? And as far as strength and bond, they should be malleable, right? You should be able to be flexible in the strength of your connection,
Yeah.
because if things are changing outside of your connection with other people, with yourself, that's also affecting you. If you're changing internally
Hmm.
and you're that's also affecting you and your connections. And so yeah, this question of how strong should our connections be, ooh, brings up one, they should be malleable, and two, maybe we remove strong and we replace it with vulnerable.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting because that also like creates kind of like a different metaphor because I'm still on
Right?
like iron bar metaphor,
Right.
right? Iron bar versus like a bungee cord was where I
Mhm.
was gonna what I was gonna say next.
I
But
like
like
that.
vulnerable is a great thing to think about too, um, because that really does like dig in to you. That kind of links the self. I think when we're talking about vulnerable, I think that is a good link between outside and inside, right? Others and
Mhm.
self and their connection. Um, because you really have to be able to be in touch with yourself in order to be vulnerable to the outside.
Yes. Yeah. And it's hard, right? Like you can have, I know that I have relationships that I feel like friendships that I'm just like, this bond is forever. More like that iron bar. It feels like iron bar relationship and friendship. But over the course of years, you start to question, you can question. I've started to question, huh, what is this
Mm-hmm.
relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need it in my life? Is
Mm-hmm.
it important to me? What what am I looking at here?
Yeah.
But the word strong, especially when it is you have best friends from high school and then 40 years later you're like, I mean that person's still in my life, but should they be?
Yeah. That person's still like my friend on Facebook, but they're like in an MLM and it's like
Right.
a whole thing.
And like, do I need that in my
Yeah,
life?
right.
And
So, yeah,
and the vulnerability comes in
mhm,
when you have to either address it for yourself or address it with the other person. Like,
yeah,
oh, maybe this person is not somebody I need in my life right now. And now I have to be vulnerable in order to move through that. And this will we feel weighed down by connecting too deeply, the vulnerable, there's something in there about the vulnerability, right? If I'm vulnerable enough to say thank you, no thank you, this is, or at least either this is no longer serving me, or can we change our relationship a little so it can serve us both,
yeah,
then this like will we feel weighed down can release itself. Like
yeah.
no, we won't feel. The words strong and weighed down are really getting me in this, and I wrote the question.
And I think that's when like people think about it, right? Like
Mhm.
I think this is the difference between rigidity and flexibility, right? When we think about our connections, and the reason you wrote that is because we think about connections as things um, that are firm, unbreakable, uh, rigid.
Mhm.
Um, and as we're discussing this, we're looking into the more uh, flexible ways to be connected, right? A chain instead of an iron bar or
Right.
a bungee cord or something else that's sturdy,
Yes.
but
Yes. But
but not
flexible,
but not rigid.
but
Yeah.
not rigid, sturdy, but not rigid. And then, this idea of like, all right, how is it serving me? And am I being truthful and vulnerable to how this connection is serving me? And I
Mhm.
feel like we tend to on stage, it's very difficult, but possible to really reach in to who we are, who our characters are, find the vulnerable parts, find the flexible parts, and move and react to the world around us with vulnerability and with flexibility. And that makes for richer characters. It makes for richer connections on stage. And it makes for deeper stories, right? We actually, as audience members, we feel connected to the characters because they feel connected to themselves and to each other, right?
Yeah.
And then the mushroom that's like dissolving a log, or the person in a cave who is just like has a dragon outside. If they've made those connections as characters, we're like, ooh, We want to see them win, or we want to see them lose, or we care one way or the other.
Right, exactly. And that's when we're performing, we want our audience to care. And as performers, we also kind of want to care about what we're doing.
Right.
Um just be I feel like improv is a sort of art where it's like, if you don't care, why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if
Yeah.
none of us are getting rich off this, and you can make up whatever you want. So, like, if you don't care about it, why are you doing it?
Why do it? Why? Why take a
I
part
guess even
time?
like the half a dozen people who have gotten rich off of improv, like they probably care about like what they're doing
Right.
in the moment, because they can make it up, right?
Right.
Uh, as they're doing it, um, which is a good, similar to life, right? We want to care about what we're doing. Um, and this is, one of those reasons why I love coming back to on and off the stage, right? Why I'm here, and why I didn't just be like, deuces, I got my family, I got a baby, now see it later, is because we do want to take those lessons of being able to be flexible and do what we care about and put them in life and put them in practice. And improv helps us explore doing things we care about.
Ooh, improv helps us explore doing things we care about. We still have a little bit of time. Let's put more into I'm just like, improv helps us explore doing things we care about. That's so big, because in this idea of how strong should our connections be, one of the questions you can ask yourself is, do I even care
Yeah.
about this connection?
Yeah. Like, and that's when we're thinking about that connection too, like back to our metaphor. How are you clipped in? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you welded? You might not want to be welded to everything, right? You might want like a little hook to be able to be like, nope.
I thank you.
I think I'm done with that chapter in my life. You might want like just a little tie, a little bunny ears knot. This is a pretty like loose, like I can wiggle around in that. Uh,
This
yeah,
reminds me of something that I tell my students, and that is, the scene isn't precious. What you're watching isn't precious. If, and because it's not precious, it's okay to edit, right? Just wipe that scene, get it out of there, go. And if you're in the scene, also remember that your scene isn't precious, and if you don't like it, you can get out of there. You
yeah,
can you can edit this scene. And I
yeah,
feel like what you're saying is, yeah, you can be as bonded to a scene slash a relationship, an event, a job, a something. You can be super bonded, but as soon as you feel like, maybe this isn't, and you can question, it's it's okay. It's okay to question it. And you don't, there it is. You don't, just because your bar is made of iron doesn't mean you can't unhook, right?
right, yeah,
That's the thing. I think we get really scared. I'm thinking about jobs now, right? Where we're just like,
hmm,
this job is great, it's great, it's great. Now it's not serving me, but I've been in it for 20 years. What else would I do? I guess I'll just really hold on to this bar. It's like, edit that scene.
yeah,
It's okay. You could
yeah.
just,
If it's not serving you, and when we say serving you, we mean the what's important to you, what are your values right now. If it's
yes.
not in line with that, then why are you doing it?
Right. 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 And
Why you got to do it? And it's like, and I think that's when we think about that, that's a difference between like, oh, this is hard versus like, this is important to me, right?
mhm,
Um, y'all, I popped out a baby and it's hard. Uh, but raising a human that's going to do good in the world after I'm gone is important to me. So
mhm,
like, even though it's hard, even though like, no, I don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. to pump so that I can have enough of a supply to blah blah blah. But because that's important to me, I'm still holding
Yes.
on to that connection. I'm not going to sever that connection just because.
Right. Right. And there are like lots of things in there that are important to you. The child is, yes, the baby is important to you. Family is important to you. There are lots of values that you have that are important. And oh man, we don't have time. But as when we're talking about improv, when we're talking about family, when we're talking about connections, those things are important. And if they get hard, you can lean on other people, right?
Yeah.
That's why these connections are like getting back to it, right? How strong is our connection? Will you be weighed down? I'm not even talking about the weighed down part, but how strong it is, uh, and how flexible it is. If you're keeping your connections flexible and vulnerable, when you need help making sure your bond is tight, you can lean on other people
Yeah.
to help you do that.
Right. And it can look, and you could be flexible in the way you approach that thing too,
Mhm.
right? The example that I just used was waking up at 3 a.m. to pump. If I decide that that is too much, but I still want to honor the value of, keeping my kid fed, uh, easily switch to an alternative feeding, like easily switching to formula or something else, right? Um, once I decide that once I'm still honoring that value, but decide that like the difficulty is a little, it no longer serves me. Yeah.
Right, right. That's what that's what this is about. It's about connecting, yes, and connecting with lots of different
With different
people,
things, different people,
ways,
how
methods.
much can we rely on our, in that example, relying on my husband to help me out and do things? How
Mhm.
much can I rely on my family? And yeah, we want these connections to ourselves and others to help us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Emily Arnold, it's great to have you back. Yay!
It's good to be back. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. I can't wait. I can't wait. We have tons more of these. We'll see you in little spots. And whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, make sure you're connecting on and
Off the stage.
mwah,
Bye.
bye, journeyers.